Hello everyone, welcome to the Economy Primer series of Drishti IS. I am Ritu and today we are going to discuss very important topic of GS3 which is new banks. So what you imagine when you imagine like a bank in India? So you imagine that there is a building with brick and mortar where people are hustling for their credit cards, bank accounts, loans, and so many people are shouting on each other because of the long queues. And in such circumstances, neobanks gives you an option where you don't have to hustle much, and it bridges the gap between conventional banking sector and the expectations of today's customer in the digital era. So, moving to the discussion part. First of all, we are going to discuss that why this topic is into the discussion, and then what are the neobanks. We'll have a brief intro about the neobanks, and then different operating models of the neobank, and after that we are going to discuss differences between traditional banks and the neobanks, and then digital bank and the neobanks, advantages of the neobank, challenges, way forward, and practice question for prelims and mains. So moving to the discussion part. So these are the cutouts we have taken from the newspaper. First cutout says neobanks driving India's fintech revolution in the age of innovation. Neo-banking startup Jupiter raises rupees 100 crore in venture debt from Altaria. Bullish on India's UPI, neo-banking and credit growth story. Razorpay, it is a kind of a neo-bank. Neo-banking is going to be the next banking sector revolution, transforming cooperative banks into the neo-banks with the one-stack solution. So what all these cutouts says that they are going to become and they are going to bring revolution in the banking sector, and how they are fulfilling the gaps between the conventional banking sector and today's digital era and today's the digital banking system. And they are also saying that they are profiting and they are providing various kind of different services to the customers. So these are the expectations from the neobanks. Moving to the introduction part. So what is a neobank? So it is a digital bank which does not have any physical presence out there, and it is entirely online. So there is a difference between online banking and the digital banking, but here it is online in network which has no any physical presence, and with the help of AI and different kind of various technology, it transform your services into a very easy method or into a very easy going customer approach. So these are the advantages of neobank, and they are also called as a challengers bank because they are challenging the networks of the conventional banking sector which are providing the services, but they are not much hassle free. On the other hand, neobanks are providing a solution and alternative apart from the conventional banking where you don't have to hustle much, and here they don't have in India, they don't have license of their own, because RBI has not allowed any bank to go fully digital. They should have a physical presence. So in India, they don't have the license. And Razorpay, Jupiter, Neo Open are the examples of the neobank. So this is the brief introduction of the neobank. Moving towards the different operating models for the neobank. So we have first model is non-licensed, second is traditional banks, and third is licensed neobank. So what happened in non-licensed, that here in India, we have non-licensed because you have to be dependent on the conventional banking. Here, RBI has not allowed any banks to be functional fully online. So here we have this non-licensed and then traditional bank that undertaking the digital initiative. So these two types works in the India. Coming to the third licensed neobanks. So this third type is not available in India, but few countries who has allowed that the online banking system who are licensed but they don't have any physical presence, but in India this is not available. Moving to the next slide is about differences between traditional banks and the neobanks. So the first differences could be heard from the funding and customers trust. So generally what we have seen that in traditional banking system, they have this funding kind of the system, and they also have different kind of opportunity to build trust because they are physically present. In the case of neo-banking, such kind of things are not available. So this can be a problematic in case of neo-banking. Coming to the innovation. So while neobanks they don't have funds, so sometimes they also lack that they have some innovative ideas, but they lack fund. But sometimes in the digital era, or they are fully digital in service, they also have various opportunity, and they also have various apps and different kind of background to develop different kind of innovation. So in that way they can also be very innovative, and in other way they can't be innovative because they lack funds. Moving to the third point, which is undeserved by traditional bank. So traditional banks, what we have seen that they are not paying attention to the medium and small enterprises. In such cases, neo banks provide a solution to all those enterprises, and they are serving them. So in that way they are serving to the undeserved banks or undeserved enterprises. And then coming to the fourth, venture capital and private equity investors. So all these capital equity investor wants to invest in neo banks because they are providing much profits without any physical presence, without any infrastructure. So in that way they are attracting the private investors. And smartphone penetration. So by the 2020 data, what we have seen that India has smartphone penetration by 54%, and it has been estimated that it will increase by 96% in another 15 years. So what all these data says that right now we have around 60% people who have this smartphone penetration, but rest 40% are still they don't have this smartphone. So the rest 40% are still underprivileged, and they don't access this kind of the neo banks facilities. So in that way, in case of India, it is not much useful. So we have to be take care, and we have to increase the smartphones and number of users also. But when it comes to the number of users, because India's population is very much high, so number of users are very large, but in terms of percentage, they are around 60% only. So moving to the next slide. Next slide is about difference between digital banks and the neo banks. So you may wonder that, neo banks are digital in nature and they are the online in nature. Then what could be the difference between digital banks and the neo banks? And in your prelims examination, they might be confused you related to this. So you should have clarity regarding this point. So what happened that digital banks have their physical presence. Suppose that SBI is a bank, ICICI is a bank, Axis Bank. So they provide digital services to the customer, but they also have this physical presence where you can talk to person in person, where you can avail services in person, and where you can visit the branches. But in case of neo banks, such kind of facilities are not available. They are fully online, and you have to access through the smartphone only. So this is the basic difference between digital banking and the neo banking. Moving to the next slide. Next slide is about advantages. So the first advantages is the low cost, because they don't have maintenance fee and they don't charge anything monthly. So in that way they have low cost. Then convenience also. In the introduction only we have discussed that sometimes you have to be in a long queue to get some money, to get some credit card, to avail your services. So in such kind of rush is not in the case of the neo banking. And then speed also, because the services are fully online, and they don't have much rush like the other digital banking and other physical banking. So they are also very good with the speed, and they provide you speedily services. And transparency also, because most of the things, not most of the things, all of the things are happening online. So they are documented in nature, and they tell you exact data about when you have transacted, when you have taken loan. So there is a transparency in this case. And then deep insights. So sometimes what we have seen that in case of the digital banking and other physical banking, they provide you solution, but they are very general in nature. They don't serve the person to person services. But here deep insights would be provided to your personal problem. So in that way they are the advantages of the neo banks. Moving to the challenges, what challenges we have in terms of the neo banks? So limited services, because physical banks just like SBI, ICICI provide different kind of the services, but because of the online in nature they provide only limited services, which are not fulfilling for the customer, because customer needs different kind of the services, and different customers and different countries have a different kind of the needs. So in that case it is not globally suitable. And then impersonal also, because here you don't have to facility to visit person to person, and you don't have any interaction between client and the what you can say person. So in that way this is the difference between, and this is the challenges ahead of the neo banks. Then regulatory hurdles also. In India, we don't have this permission to go fully digital or fully online. So we have this regulatory hurdles, and then fulfilling the needs of a segment of a market. So they are fulfilling the needs of the private investor or a particular segment of the market. So in that way, we cannot say that they are globally available, they are rurally available, and they are only online in nature. In that sense, we still have much population who are waiting for these smartphones, who don't have internet access. So in that sense, these services are not fulfilling in nature. So these are the challenges we have in terms of the neobanks. Moving to the next slide. Next slide is about what conclusion and what way forward we have got through this neo-banking. So they can work as an extension measure undertaken to solve the challenges and financial inclusion whatever the traditional banks has provided. So in that way, they can be also a profiteering organization, because many conventional banks are lacking in that area, and they are not attracting the private investors, and they are creating much hurdles. They are not much customer friendly. So they can serve as a unique advantage and unique solution to all those customer base who have and who are facing such kind of the banking problems. And especially in country like India, when you come to the government banks, they have huge rush and they have only less service provider, and customers are very huge in numbers. So in such way, they will serve as an advantage, and they have to increase their fan base or customer base to the rural areas also. And when it comes, so it comes along with the smartphone penetration and also the digitally available population. So they have to work on these area. On the other hand, in India, we have various challenges in introducing such kind of the neo banking facilities, because so many technology we will invite, but they don't have proper solution. And if there will be any cyber security or cyber threat kind of the problem, we don't have such laws for that. So before introducing neo banking and before regularizing neo banking, we have to introduce various laws and strict laws related to this, because there are so many cyber security issues, cyber threat issues, because these facilities are online in nature. So we have to also be ready for the different precautions before introducing it. So these are the way forward and conclusion we have inculcated from a whole discussion. Moving to the question part, consider the following statement regarding neobanks. And the first statement is, these are only digitally available. In India, these firms do not have a bank license of their own. Here they are asking not correct statement. So you have to be very careful that what is the instruction of the question. Moving to the mains part. So the mains question says that the neobanks are changing the face of fintech by bridging the gap between the services that traditional banks offer and evolving expectation of the customer in digital age. Analyze. So we already had discussed that how they are bridging, and what you have to do that in intro part, you have to introduce neobanks. And then what are the examples of the neobank, just like Razorpay, Open. So these are the example of the neobanks, and we already have given you much information about the neobanks, that they are the online available, they are not licensed in the India. RBI has few regulations for them, and then you can give introduction like this. Coming to that, how they are bridging the gap between conventional banking sector and the customers' expectations. So we have this kind of expectation that when we apply for any loan, we don't have to go to the various offices of the bank that okay, we want loan, we want this much of the loan. And in the rural areas and in for the small enterprises and for the common population, what we have seen, that suppose that they are availing loan of 2 lakhs, 1 lakhs or 3 lakhs, it's just a small amount. They have to rush a lot through this office to that office, through that officer to that officer. So in that way, the process become very lengthy and also mentally and physically taxing. So in that way, they are fulfilling the customer's expectation, and they are providing digital loan and online loan which do not require this kind of the physical and mental effort. So in that way, they are fulfilling the customer's expectation, and they are also saving the time and physical strength of the customers. On the other hand, they still needs a few kind of the regulations, and they don't have much solution to the problems which are existing in India and other countries who have a very huge customer support and huge customer base who wants to avail such kind of the services. But if there will be any problem related to your online transactions and any crimes related to the online transaction, you don't have a proper law and you don't have a proper solution, and they are only limited available because physical banking provides different kind of the services. On the other hand, they don't have much services which can suit to the every people of this country. So in that way, they are not fulfilling the customers expectations, and these are the loopholes we have in the neobanks. So in a way, you can say that they have potential to maximize their profitability, but they have to also take care of that their services should reach to the lower state of the society and each person to the rural India also. So in that way, they are not fulfilling the customers expectation, and they are not bridging the gap between the conventional banking sector and the customer expectation in this digital era, because so many customers who don't have this access of digital services, they cannot avail such kind of the services. So in that way, you can conclude your answer that they have potential, but for that, India should become digitally available, and there should be the 100% digitalization of all the villages and all the people. So I hope you like this lecture. If you have any query to this lecture, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you.